All right. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. My name is Toyosi Ogwande. I'm a demo engineer in NetBrain. And today the topic is life cycle assessment. So we don't want you to get stuck with expired hardware, and that is the reason why we're showing you this value. So yeah, so starting with some brief introduction about NetBrain. NetBrain is a node code automation platform. So we are an automation platform. And with NetBrain's automation, you can achieve a lot of things like network documentation, outage prevention, diagnosis automation. You can check the performance of your applications. You can run some network security checks, and you can use NetBrain for proactive change. So basically, with NetBrain, we have what we call the network intent, which is the brain behind NetBrain's automation. And network intents can be built by anyone, and it can be used by everyone. So with NetBrain, we recommend 3 workflows. And the workflows are troubleshooting workflow, assessment workflow, and change workflow. So with the network intents, you could use the network intents to reduce your downtime. So basically, whenever there's a problem, whenever there's a network problem, you could pick up NetBrain and use the network intents to troubleshoot, and you can have a workflow for that. So NetBrain is able to auto-diagnose a problem and also allows you to be able to collaborate together to quickly solve a problem. The assessment workflow, the idea behind that is for each rule and for every policy or for every best practice, you want to have the network-wide assessments. So just like today's topic where we're talking about lifecycle assessments, you could have a summary dashboard that is showing you all of your life cycle information. So basically, any rule, any policy, any best practice, you could have assessments running with NetBrain that is showing you that information and is giving you visibility to potential problems. Now, the change workflow is very easy. The idea is for every change, you want to have a summary dashboard that is showing you the impacts of the change. So you can discover impact, you can auto validate, and you can continuously protect your changes. Now, all that I've mentioned, all of the 3 workflows that I've mentioned are sourced from the automation library. So NetBrain comes with an automation library that has tons of pre-built intents. So the network intents that I talked about, yes, you can build your own network intents. And yes, again, you can make use of the pre-built intents that comes with NetBrain's library. So you'll be getting a library that has about 300 pre-built intents that you can start using for these workflows. So there's the automation library. You can use it on problematic devices. You can run it across your entire network, and you can use it to see the impact of the changes you make. So that's a brief introduction of what you can do with NetBrain. And I'm gonna start sharing my screen to show you the lifecycle assessment. Yeah, so as we all know, network devices have shelf life. And when you have a network of tens and thousands of devices, you need to be on the lookout for lots of information, like what devices are going to end of life. You have to keep track of information like this because you don't want to face issues like when you need support from your vendor and you can't get it. So questions about warranties and service agreements are things that network teams deal with every day. And depending on how big your network is, it can take hundreds of hours to answer these questions. So our dashboard simplifies this process by visually indicating potential life cycle risk. So what I have on my screen here is a life cycle assessment summary dashboard. And it shows the results of network intents that are pulling out your life cycle information. Now the question is, what are summary dashboards and what are network intents? And I'll quickly explain that. So the network intents, like I said earlier, are the they are the automation units that goes ahead to probe your network devices for their status. So any question that you ask your network manually can be automated in NetBrain. So do I want to know which devices are reaching their end of life? I could use the network inference to probe that question. Do I want to know devices that are vulnerable to some security risks? I could use the network inference to do that. Now, the summary dashboard just shows you the results of these inference that are running. So with a summary dashboard, the rows will contain the network inference that are being run, while the columns will contain the scope of the automation, that which devices are you running this automation on. So we could see, you could show them by devices or by sites. So in this case, we have them by sites and we have the network inference on showing in the rows. Now, this particular dashboard and network inference are based on the partnership that we have with Cisco, and is set up using SFTC API integration. So as a customer, you could input your credentials and Cisco will provide us with this lifecycle information. Now, after all this setup, this dashboard visually answers the questions. What's my warranty dates? What are my end of external announcements? What are my end of sales, end of security vulnerability, and many more. Now, let's take a look at some of these intents. So like I said, the results are printed in greens and red. Green means there's no problem detected, while red means there was a problem. And you're able to drill down. You can click on these intent results and you're able to see what exactly NetBrain is saying. So in this case, NetBrain is telling us that the OS version can be upgraded at this particular date. Now let's take a look at another one. So let's look at end of sales, for example. So if I look at the intent results, I'm able to see some of these information like my end of sales date being expired. Now, these are information that when you have lots of devices, it's difficult to keep track of this information. But with NetBrain, you're able to, with NetBrain and the integration, the SFTC integration, you're able to get all of this information on a dashboard and the results are printed in greens and red. And with NetBrain, these assessments can be set up to any frequency that you want. So in this case, we're running these monthly. So we know that every month we have visibility to all of this information that we need. Greens, like I said, means that there's no problem detected. So if I look at this, I could see the intent. The network intent is end of security vulnerability support. And I'm able to see the results. So it's telling me that this particular device, the end of security vulnerability support date is not expired. So that way I can rest assured that I don't have any problems with this particular device when it comes to the end of security. Now, all of these results can also be viewed on the map. So I can view the results by going to the intent results, and I could also view the result on the map. So once I click on map, NetBrain is able to draw out that device and is able to pull out the information I want on the map. So it's opening the map and I'm able to see that the results of the information on the map. And with NetBrain again, I can see device information, of course. So if I want to see more information about this device, I don't need to manually type in CLI commands to see informations like this, like the management IP, the sysubject ID, and all of these things, the full configuration of this device, and many other configurations like interface, routing, and many more. This is because of the fact that the first thing we're doing is we're creating a digital twin of your entire environment. So we know everything in your environment. We know every network information. As a matter of fact, I can use this compare button to actually compare my current configuration with a configuration in the past. So I can look at all these different dates and I can compare my configurations if I need to. Now back to the end of life. Now, all of this dashboard, like I said, this is a summary dashboard. So it's a summary dashboard because it's a summarized version of a bigger dashboard. So all of this information, they are bigger dashboards that I can drill down to. So for example, if I click on this, NetBrain is able to show me the bigger dashboard and I'm able to see how NetBrain has been running these checks continuously to check for end of security vulnerability. I can view the reports. I can also export the reports if I need to. Now, how is NetBrain pulling out all of this information? Like I said, it's through an integration. So it's through an integration to Cisco SMTC server, and we're pulling out the information through API. Now you could see that the foundation of these intents that were built is through what we call the automation data table. So if I go to manage input right now, I could see that we are pulling this information from a table, from an EOX table, which I'll be showing you soon. And the idea of an automation data table is to contain all of the devices that you want to run an automation on, and all the network intents that you want to run on these devices. So let me quickly show you this particular table. Yeah. So when I go to the automation data table manager, I could see this table that we are fetching this information from. Now we could see all of the devices that we're running this automation on, that we're continuously probing for their lifecycle information. We could see the device type, the vendor, the models, software versions, and now we could see all of those lifecycle information that we're probing these devices from, like end of routine failure, warranty checks. So these are the network intents. We could see them, end of security vulnerability. These are the network intents that applies to all of these devices. Now, these network intents, you have the option to run the intent once or run the intent via timer. So if I choose to run this intent via timer, I'm able to pick how frequently I want these intents to run. So maybe I want to run these every week, or I want to run this every month. NetBrain gives you that opportunity to be granular, for you to customize all of these things. So I could set all the frequency to monthly, and NetBrain is going to be running these checks for me every month. And after running these checks, I can then now add to a summary dashboard. So basically, I can add this to a dashboard, and I could view the results this way. So I could add that to a summary dashboard, and I could view all of the information this way. And this is how we're getting the result. Now let me go back to the map for a second. So like I said, you can view all of this information on the map as well. And like I said, there's what we call the automation library, where all of your network intents are stored. And you can use the network intents, continuously or on demand. So like I said earlier, you're able to set the frequency you want these network intents to run continuously. And apart from that, you could also use this network intents on demand. So I could pull out the device, and I can go to the intents, and I can see the different pre-built intents that exist in my automation library. So I have the options to use the network intents to verify so many things, to probe my network for so many questions. Like network status, I can decide to check for if changes have been made to my network. I could decide to check for the network health. There's so many assessments that I can carry out with NetBrain. Impact analysis, I could do some security checks. I could run some lifecycle assessment to pull out lifecycle information, like the ones that were showing on the dashboard. I could check for capacity. So am I running out of capacity? Are my memories being overutilized, or my CPUs being overutilized? These are informations that I can pull out. I could check for application issues, routing issues, and many more. And all of these intents, like I said, are pre-built, and you can also decide to build your own intents if you need to. So if there's something that I want to specifically check for that is not currently in the library, I could even start with my quick intent. I could type in a command, maybe a show interface, and I'm able to pull out that information, and I'm able to build an automation around that. And that's how all of these intents are built, including the lifecycle loan, which is using integration anyways. So pretty much the summary dashboard, the idea, it's a new feature, and one of the reasons why one of the reasons why I love the summary dashboard so much, and one of the reasons why our customers really love it is because it gives you that summarized information. So as soon as I open this dashboard, I don't even need to drill down. I could have hundreds of intents here, but I could just look at these summary information. Now I could see how many number of alerts I have. I could see number of devices that I'm running this on. I could see number of successes. So this has become practices. This has become one of the practices in many of our customers' environments. They just look at the summary dashboard every at the beginning of every work day, and they're able to tell if there are potential problems, if there are problems they need to look at, they need to fix. Because when I look at the summary version, if I have zero alerts, then I'm sure that I do not have any device that is approaching its end of life, end of warranty, or any of those life cycle information. All right, so that's that about the life cycle assessments, and I'll just look at the Q&A for any questions. Okay, so from James Pedersen, if I pronounced that correctly. Are other vendors like Juniper and Palo also supported? So the answer to this is we could do lifecycle assessment for other devices, but it wouldn't be as easy as Cisco, because the reason why we could do it easily with Cisco is due to the partnership that we already have established. But a way around this is there's a manual solution for other vendors, in the sense that the automation data table that I showed you, let me quickly take that back. So in this automation data table, the manual solution for other vendors is to put the most up-to-date information into an ADT. Case of like a Palo Alto would have to manually pull out those information and add it to the ADT. Now we'll then build an intent. We will then build an intent that is checking against this ADT for this lifecycle information. So that's how that's a manual approach to supporting other vendors. From James again, are the dashboards customizable? Example, only show end of software maintenance. Or yes, you are able to customize how you want the dashboard to show. You can decide to delete some network intents if you don't find them useful for your own environment. From Edward Jones, how do you set up this dashboard? So the dashboard, like I said, it's been sourced from the automation library. So basically you start with building the intents, and even if it's not a life cycle assessment, any assessment that you want to do, maybe your network health assessments or some network security assessments. First of all, you want to identify the network intents that would be existing in the library, that it will be existing in the dashboard, sorry. So like in this case, we've identified the network intents and we'll put them in the table. So after putting them in the table, then we can then add to a dashboard. Well, let me look for this. Okay, so just give me a sec. Can run. So once you run it, you can then export diagnosis as summary factoring. Okay, let me just start from here. So in this case, there are various ways for you to achieve that. So you could save the intents that you want to run, and you could add to summary dashboard. So let me save this right here and go to map intent. Let me just open up a new map. So you could go to here and you could create a new dashboard. So you could add a new dashboard. Once you create a new dashboard, you can name it whatever you want. So if it's like a life cycle assessment, you could type life cycle assessment. You could type life cycle and you could add to a dashboard. So once you create, it tells you, do you want to add to a summary dashboard? Now you could click on add to summary dashboard. You're able to name whatever summary dashboard you want to if it already exists, if it's an already existing summary dashboard, you could add it to an already existing summary dashboard, or you could create a new summary dashboard. So I could create a new summary dashboard like this and call it life cycle. And I could add a life cycle. Um, as I could name it life cycle as well, life cycle assessment. So pretty much I could name it life cycle assessment and press and NetBrain is going to build a summary dashboard, and I can access the summary dashboard in this summary dashboard results. So basically, I'll be able to see the summary dashboard here. So in this case, we built this summary dashboard called the lifecycle assessment. So whenever you open it up, you're able to see the results. Next question, automate keeping the could you automate keeping the EOX DB up to date? Yeah, so basically you could pick the frequency at which you want, and you could also refresh. So you could also refresh the dashboard to keep it up to date. So you could enable auto refresh and refresh it at any frequency that you want. Alejandro, what is Cisco API and how is it set up? So what I said is the integration is with the Cisco SNTC server, and we're pulling out the information from there through API. So it is the API that is querying the server to get those questions, to get the answers to those questions like when is the end of warranty, when is the end of sales. And we're pulling out those information and visually showing you the results of these probes on the dashboard. All right, Dado, go ahead. Dado, I see you're raising your hand. If a non-Cisco vendor has available API server, can we set up NetBrain to pull EOX and other data as well? Yeah, I believe it would be possible, but I don't know if we've done that in the past, so I can't really give you a very accurate answer, but I believe it would be possible. Any reference document for integrating this API to NetBrain? Um, yeah, but I would have to I'll have to find that and send that, but I know for sure that there are documentations on integrating with API. That's to Rajiv. You're welcome, Rajiv. Yeah, Rajiv, we'll get the recorded section access in future if we need. Yeah, I do not think that's a problem. We can send in the webinar recordings. Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. Okay, I'm just getting answers to that we don't send customers the recorded version of webinar, but we can direct them to the website where it will be located, where you can get information on all of these things that I've talked about. So thanks everyone for joining. If there's still any further questions, you can always reach out. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.